every time introduction. I hope you can hear me. My voice is a bit out. So just in case you stop getting very clear on the content and just drop a comment in my chat. I'll be happy to go over it again. So thank everyone for the time for joining this session today. My name is Jessica, as Elena has introduced me. I'm product manager at Airport Manager for Wider Corporate Years for over 6 years. I started my career in tech in a very fun way. I studied computer science, but I wasn't practicing while I was in school. While I was in school, I was making handbags. I still make handbags. And because I was making handbags, I felt like I wanted to continue making handbags at this stage. So that's to say to you that no matter what you're doing now, you will not know what you might be doing in the next 5 to 6 years. So I felt like I was still going to be like famous handbag designer in school. So that's all made the decision to study graphic design because I was like, if I'm a handbag designer, how do I introduce step into whatever I'm doing? So in a way to introduce step into designing handbags, I did graphic design. And then from graphic design, I started to do a bit of product design. And from product design, I felt like design was interesting. I started to understand the psychology of design. From trying to understand psychology of design, color theory, sex hierarchy, I felt like, if you can understand how the human mind processes things, you can definitely predict how they will respond to your design. And that's what we're into marketing because marketing is about designing an experience for your customers and for your users and taking them through the funnel from brand awareness to getting them to buy your product to getting them to refer your products. So I like the fact that we could predict how we could get our customers or our users to interact with whatever we're doing. So be it physical products, be it a software product, whatever. And then I started doing a bit of marketing and then I transitioned from doing marketing to doing product management. So when I heard about product management, coincidentally, I was among the very first few people who really heard about product management while I was in Nigeria. Product management was already popular on the other side of the world, but I didn't know anything about it. So one day I was taking a marketing course in university. And I saw that he had a product management course and it was so interesting. Like I read about it, like this thing just fits me. Because as a computer science graduate, I knew I didn't want to write codes, I didn't want to program, I had no patience for building things, but I was very mental. So I could think through a process, but I didn't have enough patience to carry out the process. So I knew that I would not make a very good developer writing codes and doing all that. But I knew that I would function very well telling the developer how to write or structure a code. So when I saw product management and I saw that that was what product management was about, I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then I tried to speak to some senior people who were professionals in the space, and they're like, oh, no, you can't get a job in product management. There's something to try. It's for people with 10 years experience, for people with, 10 years experience. I'm like, okay, so I forgot about it. And then one day I started continuing marketing roles. And the one that was doing an interview with someone who was working in Microsoft as at then, like in 2018, 2017. And he had quite a good number of experience. He had worked in Microsoft, he had worked with Chelsea FC. So he was very vast. So I had never met him before, I had never spoken to him before. And during the interview, he said to me that I think he should be a product manager. And when he said that to me, I stopped consulting anybody. I went straight to university, did my product management course, get my first portfolio, and landed my first product management role in 2 months. From there, I became a product manager. I started to work on very interesting products I'm used to being that we are aware of. And last year, I won the UK Global Talent, which then brought me into the UK space. So I currently work as a product manager in Multiverse. Multiverse is the educational platform based in London. So that's been my journey. I shared the whole story to say that independent of wherever we are as individuals in our careers, independent of how old we think we are or how many years that we have spent in a specific space, we can always transcend into meetings. And this is really, really very independent of whatever anybody thinks. It is solely dependent on what you think. So I'm going to share my slides now. Just to let me know when you can see my slide. Okay. So thank you. So Dalumi has asked me to come here today to speak about accessing global opportunities. And I have sort of um, constructed my narrative about moving, shifting from passive waiting to designing your future. Because I think that that is the most important thing that anybody needs to do when you're trying to access global opportunities. You need to move from waiting for certain things to happen to us or happen for us to designing it to happen for us. There's a new favorite quote that I have, which I had in church, which says, um, design it, decree it, and invite. So design what we want, say what we want, and then have what we want, basically. So that's what I have structured my conversation to be about. So engineering your own law. Designing your future is not about having some random accidents. It's about connecting the dots between unexpected moments. But before we go a bit into this slide, I want us to take us to this slide about having our purpose, identifying our purpose. Everything that we will do, everything that we will act on will come from a central force. I use the word purpose because that's what I'm familiar with. Some people can use the word interest, some people can use the word North Star, depending on what you're familiar with in terms of terminologies. But what I'm just trying to say is something that spurs you into action. So the reason behind why you carry out certain actions. So what's your driving force? Some people want to help needy. Some people are very passionate about helping the needy. Some people are very passionate about giving out to the community. Some people are very passionate about impact. Some people are very passionate about money. I'm very passionate about money. I like money. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with you being very passionate about money. So I like money. So because I like money, I need my skill set so that I can be more expensive and I can gain more salary. I also like purpose. I also love impact. So different thing drives all of us. So what is your driving force? What is your purpose? I'm also very motivated about family. Um, I am married and I have a son. I work remotely. And because I work remotely, I'm able to care for my son while I make money. But I still know that there are people who don't have certain privileges. They have to either drop their children in crèche and go to, to work physically because of maybe the kind of job that they do or because of the level that they are at this stage in life, which is practically okay. But I'm just putting that out there to say that I was intentional about the fact that I needed to get a remote job because I did not want to leave my child at home, I leave my child in crèche, and because I had to make money, because I did not also want to give up with money. So different things will spur us into action. Every stage of our lives, in whatever category we are, we should find our why, we should find our purpose. I'm laying a bit of emphasis on this because we know that willpower and the ability to do is usually more effective when we have a why. So your why will also change from time to time. Your why will also change as you go older, as a perspective improves or gets widened, your why will also change. So when you have identified your why, have a clear purpose that acts as a navigation to helping you spot specific opportunities in the crowded global market space that aligns so great. So this brings me back to part of the story I shared. I knew that I didn't want to write codes, but as a computer science graduate then, it was very easy for me to get bullied, or it was very easy for me to compare myself to my colleagues because I had a lot of very intelligent colleagues that were um, already doing well and had multinational jobs, writing Java, writing C, which is beautiful. But I had to look to myself to say, on the long term, I don't want to be a developer. I knew that I wasn't going to excel as a developer. I wasn't going to find fulfillment being a developer. My strong power is in my thought process. And as a product manager, that's why I excel. So I had to have a clear navigation to say I wasn't going to learn coding. The global market space is very, 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 very crowded. You need to know what aligns specifically with your goals. That is why you need to find your purpose, and that's why you need to find your goals. I'll give you an example of my friend. I had a friend who I tried so much to encourage. If you know me, people who know me personally, I always encourage everyone to learn tech skill. So I tried so much to get my friend into tech and speak to him, and like he's like, just I'm not interested. I went there, I sat with him to say, okay, what are you not interested in tech? And he said to me how he has always been the person in his environment. He told me amazing stories how he, when he was a young child, he would go, he would do sanitation on the streets. I'm like, are you serious? So I knew after the conversation that he had something inside of him that jolted him towards climate change, towards environmental issues. So he was struggling in that. He wanted to pursue that. He was pursuing that, but was struggling because you know how very difficult it is to do that thing climate change specialist or a environmental specialist person in Nigeria. It's very, very, very difficult, but it's doable. So when I had him share with me all his personal experiences and stories, after that day, I stopped encouraging him to be a developer to do tech. So I started encouraging him towards, you know, environmental analysis or environmental care. I tried to find people who were already in the space who were doing well. I will share the LinkedIn with them. If you did a course on climate change, I will also share the climate change course with him. As we speak today, after a while, let's say a year after that, he got an internship in America, all state sponsored. He went there, he did the job. They provided him into permanent staff. He's working as a climate change specialist with an organization in the US. So that's somebody who was able to identify his niche in a crowded global market space. I always am a huge fan of tech. I cannot even, I'm biased because I feel like tech reduces the bar for success. Tech helps you make money quick. Tech, can bring you success very fast. But everybody needs to know what they really, really, really want to do in the long term. For someone else, it might be agriculture. So for somebody else, it might be teaching. There are people who love to teach, even as much as teaching doesn't make so much money. But there are people who love to teach, people who love to impact knowledge into the younger generation. So I would always say to people that think about it. How can you, when you identify whatever is your primary purpose or whatever is your focus, think about it. How can you not infuse tech into it? Because tech will definitely help you digitalize a lot of the processes, a lot of the manual things that you might be doing in that space. And then how can you get global opportunities? There are a lot of global opportunities for teachers. There are a lot of global opportunities for people who love agriculture. So filter the noise, find what you really love, because you want to do what you love 20 years from now, 30 years from now. You want to ensure that you are doing something that you love. That's where you find purpose. I don't know, even if I don't know. Like I said, never say never. Maybe I'm a bit of the time next 5 years. Who knows? But at this point in time, if possible, the path, I don't think I'll be as much as happy as I am now out of the job. Okay. So while blind luck is random, active luck is creating what you're prepared when it's created when you're prepared to take action because of your focus. So what's active luck? Looking for what you want, purposely, not just moving along with every friend. My last point says in the global world, opportunity can actually be a distraction if it doesn't lead anywhere. So there are so many things. People say today they want to do this, today they want to do that. I'm also a huge fan to say, context is very important in how to apply certain principles. So when I hear principles, I try to understand my context. What do I have as an advantage as a person? And what do I have as a disadvantage? So that's to say that every one of us on this call, some people have strong advantage, some people have lesser advantage. Some people have connections, some people have people who can refer them for jobs. Some people don't have anybody who can refer them for jobs. So know what your strength is and know what your improvement point, like I like to call it, will be. That being said, when I started my career, I had some jobs that I said I was never going to apply for. So I never created a CV form. I know part of the career advices that we get is to create multiple CVs for multiple job roles that we want to target, which is absolutely fine. But sometimes having a lesser focus on what it is that you really, really want, that you have identified that you want to do, is very, very key. So in as much as I see people create multiple CVs, do customer service CV, do appointment CV, depending on what advantage you have and how fast you want to go and how fast you need to move on and I will also still very, very strongly advise that having a laser focus on the kind of opportunities you want is very, 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 very key. For example, when I started my career, I never ever ever had an admin CV. Then I moved into Lagos for 30 years ago. And the very, very common thing to do in Lagos when you come to Lagos was to start off after NYC was to start off with a admin job, but I said to myself, I was too intelligent to be an admin staff, and that's not true. And atrocious enough. I know people who, if they are not admin staff, they cannot do anything else because it's so excellently about role. I know admin staffs in Lagos that they can soon learn how to months. So if you aspire to be an admin staff, that's the kind of admin staff that you should be. So I know people that do excellently well in that field. I knew for myself that personally I never wanted to do that. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy written staffs. I don't enjoy anything that I don't continue. So I said to myself, I was never going to create an admin simple. So I never applied for an admin job. I never applied for a customer service job. And I rather took that time to learn graphic design. And then my very first role was to be a graphic designer for a fashion house. So let's start focus on the opportunities. What type of opportunities do you want in 2026? That will bring me to one very interesting post I saw on LinkedIn. I saw somebody on LinkedIn and she posted that she had made, and I quote, $40,000 this year from January to December from Upwork. And the normal Nigerian who said this girl is lying. And I'm like, as I said to myself, what do I think? What do I think it's like? Because I've never seen somebody who has said, I know people say do Upwork. Some people have spoken to me about it, but I've not really had any reason to do it because I'm making money for other sources. So, and I have never seen somebody have that kind of claim to say they have made such amount of money from Nigeria. I mean, she lives in Nigeria. Funny enough, she doesn't live in Lagos. She lives in Enugu, Nigeria. And somebody from Enugu, not even Lagos, had such a claim to say she had made so much money from Upwork. And I said, this was lying. And I was like, I'm going to check. And I said to myself, why am I believing that this is lying? That people don't make that kind of money from Upwork? So I was like, why don't I do try to verify this information? Mind you, she did not put any, she just made it, she didn't put her details. I took my time to search her out. I took my time to find her Upwork account. I found out that there is a very, very 80% possibility that she's not lying. Because when we saw the amount of gigs that she's currently executing, and she had executed this year, and she's charging like $30 per hour, there is a very high probability that she has hit those numbers this year. And what is she doing? She's doing automation. So there is a part of product management that requires you to manage tasks and automate tasks. So what does automation basically mean? Let's say all of us here, we fill the form, we register for this webinar, and when we register, we get an email. So what does she do? She creates an automation pipeline that says, okay, if somebody does a specific action, they should get a specific result. And after they have done another action, they should get a specific result. So what does she do? A lot of small businesses in Nigeria need automation processes, or even abroad, because I think most of our parents are abroad, they like to set up automation. So what does she do? She learns quite a lot of CRM tools and automation tools that she positions herself to say, oh, I am an automation specialist and I can help to set up this pipeline. I mean, there's no small business who wants automation now. No one wants to do it because they save them chunk amount of hours. And she started doing that from NLB Nigeria, and she's still making money. So that's to say, you don't necessarily need to focus on a typical 9 to 5. You don't need to focus on a general routine route. Understand what opportunity means to you. Like I've said from the beginning, from your purpose, understand what opportunity means to have. For her, she's not going to focus on looking for work visa or trying to come. She just focused on doing the automation. And now that she has made so much money, she can decide to do whatever. She can decide to say she wants to go to another country or whatever. So that's to say, designing your future is not a random accident. I don't think, and I'm very, very sure from her portfolio, because I looked at her portfolio, she also has a website portfolio. It was not by accident. She was very intentional in learning those CRM tools, building her profile, having a portfolio. She has a very beautiful portfolio that shows her skill set and her work, and then connecting the dots by going to Upwork to put in her profile, putting in the hard work to get herself to be a top-rated freelancer. The issue with Upwork is that you need to work very hard to be a top-rated. But once you're top-rated, it's very, very easy for you to get jobs and stay. So she put in the work to get herself to be top-rated, and from being top-rated, she's making so much money. So access global opportunities, you must actively look for patterns and intersections where others only see chaos. So we are Nigeria, we are Nigerians. Nigerians complain a lot about Nigeria, but in Nigeria, people are still looting money. I just saw this one that's looking for $40,000 yearly from any Nigeria. So how are you thinking about it? Because the way we channel our energy in thinking, that will also determine what we can see. So as chaotic as certain things might be currently in the country, how are you looking for opportunities in that space? So don't just wait for global opportunities. You design your life to encounter them and recognize them, which is what that person has done. I don't have it anywhere, but I just feel how I'm meeting and I saw her person. And I feel like that was very, very, very intentional. There was nothing about what she has done that was by accident. So take a moment to pause and say, how are you being intentional about your growth in 2026? I'll move on to the next segment. Tell me, please, how many minutes do I have? People just drop in chat so I know. So thinking beyond the borders, breaking familiarity. Don't always say it cannot be done. Like when I said that person, like this person, I thought to meanwhile, I'm parallel to seeing that a lot of people have the same thing. People make them talk about, and I'm like, seriously, I don't believe it. But it's true. And I've said that in 2026, I'm going to get it. Maybe in 2027, I'll give you feedback about if I'm in it. But I have decided that I'm basically the father. So, assessing the world requires stepping out of your environment and perspective that I'm used to. Just me, I had a perspective that, I don't know if I have some one husband. But this is somebody that I have seen, and she's not the only one. I've had people tell me personal experience. But my younger sister being on my neck, that there are people that have friends, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't like, don't involve me. But now I'm saying, involve me, I'm going to definitely get involved. So, changing your perspective of what cannot be possible. Don't always eat the story of the money. So I did not just run out to say, oh, this girl's lying, how she eat money. I took my time to understand how she had made that money. And I can see from the patterns, tactical steps that she is taking. Automation is a very big deal. And number 2 is not crowded. Number 3, even AI, if you say you want to do AI automations or AI image creation, AI social, okay, when you say I have 7 minutes, oh my God, I have to talk faster. You want to do something related to AI for small businesses in Nigeria, you want to charge Naira. There is a strong niche there that a lot of people have not taken advantage of, and that space is still open. So original ideas, the kind that gain global tractions, are done when you intentionally seek out unfamiliar perspective. So what can you do differently? How can you invest in your thoughts, in your knowledge? Knowledge is very important. I saw a video last week where the person was saying that rich people are always happy when poor people think that their success is by luck. They I feel like rich people, poor people don't acknowledge the knowledge gap that exists between them and a successful person. There is a huge knowledge gap between you and, so I always say to myself that if I see somebody who has a lot of money or who's doing a lot of something impact within, like I said, I'm very, very motivated by money and impact. So if I see somebody who's doing both, I intentionally acknowledge that the things that this person knows, not just know, things that they know and they are doing that I do not know. So don't always, compete that people's success is due to luck or it's due to rich family member or it's due to the advantage that they have. Yes, I acknowledge that everybody has specific advantage that the other person will have, but there is always a huge knowledge gap. So in 2026, how are you seeking knowledge? How are you intentionally improving the things that you know? So success on a global scale requires brilliance to take risks and embrace lessons learned from failure. Take risks. The very, very another interesting thing about that Upwork story was that she started in January 2025. It's not that old a house. So don't think she's been doing it for 5 years, she's been doing it for 3 years. That success is within a space of 1 year. She started in January 2025 and she's where she is in December 2025. So take risk, embrace lesson learned from failure. Assessing new markets or network requires you being vulnerable. Post on LinkedIn. Post on LinkedIn is the barest minimum that you can say January 1st or January 2026. I am actively going to post on LinkedIn about what I do, about what I want to do. So even if you don't do anything now, for example, let's say you want to be a software developer or product manager and you're not, why don't you post what you know about product management and LinkedIn? That's the barest minimum. So that's you putting your step forward because it will all come together. When the opportunity comes, it will all come together. There's a story I thought I was going to share in this. I was going to share today. I have a friend who in 2020 got an international job in London from Nigeria. He used to work as a system IT support person in one of the top companies in Lagos. And one day he said to me, just come off the product management. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, okay, I'll just have a 2-hour session with you and talk through. And I had a 2-hour session with him, me, and one of my other friends who was a product manager. He just, gave him some pressure, gave him some tips. He created a product manager CV. And in 1 month, he landed a visa sponsored job in UK. And in 2020, them, COVID and all that. And I started, again, I was even with it. I didn't know anything about me. I actually never was looking forward to it. So I was shocked. So I was like, how did you do it? He said that he just wanted to do, he saw the job that I applied for it and he wrote a cover letter. So I said to him, can you send me a copy of the cover letter he did? And when I saw it, it made sense what he was choosing. So in fact, I knew that they were going to be given from the very beginning with that cover letter. Every other thing was formality. In the cover letter, he talked about things. The company he got the business sponsor job with is a research organization. So the research they are giving to research. And then he started his cover letter talking about malaria, how he's very passionate about research because of how much we suffer malaria in Nigeria. Yes. And then tied it to data analysis, tied it to from data analysis, tied it to product management, tied it to everything that he has done, and ended into the fact that he loved researching because of that. And when I read that cover letter till date, I feel like that cover letter is one of the most brilliant cover letter ever read, ever. Because it was beautiful to see that he took the day-to-day experiences of his life and told a story, which is also part of the point I highlighted here, originality. He was original. He did not wait, he did not copy me. I mean, this is me and my friend who have been doing management together and we have never landed it. Anyway, maybe because now. But his cover letter was very unique. So how do they integrate details of your life? How can you tell your story as an individual? I'm not going to talk too much on that, that I believe the speaker is going to help us understand the whole of that as feedback. So view failure not as a dead end, but as a necessary tool for creating new opportunities. If you start in January by Get ready, set webinars 2027 version. We will have a lot of testimonies to share. So put in the work. I have a very, very favorite quote that says the future doesn't belong to the man doing it quick, but to the man doing it right. Don't rush your process. I know why a lot of the young people they are Gen Zs. Gen Zs are very, very fast. They are very, very. Please let me know when I have 2 minutes left. They are very, very fast. They are very, very. They want to rush up. They want to get there on time. They want to succeed like start everything down. If you have overnight success, there is a high probability that you will not be able to keep it. So learn the intricate details. I think part of the reason why I'm such a good product manager is because I took my time to learn the benefits. I took my time to understand the whole end-to-end separately, like development cycle of software. So don't rush over these things. Don't rush it. Learn, experiment, and don't always say, oh, I don't have a job, I don't have an opportunity. If you sell, let's say you support a mom in her shop, you sell in your mom's shop, you can build a product management business and that. You can build a portfolio or your story from anything. I just saw somebody that had to stay in from when this is job. So go through the process, learn, keep an open heart, go through the process of learning and growing. If you learn right, from my experience, I've always seen that everything that I took my time to learn, when I get to the top, I don't succeed. I'm also very smart as a person. So what that also implies is sometimes I have a tendency to not thoroughly learn something before I get an opportunity because I'm smart like that. So I've seen that the things that I did not thoroughly learn and then I got an opportunity for, I have a very high tendency to fall. But the things that I thoroughly learn before I get an opportunity, I observe. Even though, because I have a Maranatha, once I show up and it's doing it. So even though I will struggle, I'll be strong head, I will still do well eventually. But do I struggle? Oh, definitely, I do struggle. So going forward, a part of my reflection that I've had, and for 2026, I said to myself, if I will get to top and see struggle, there's no point. Let me just take my time and learn. So I am taking my time. Like now, artificial intelligence is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's very easy for you to come up here and brand yourself like a specialist this without really knowing what power artificial intelligence, without knowing LLMs, large language models, without even knowing how to clean a data set. But when you get those opportunities, and when the whole, because artificial intelligence is bigger than generative AI, it's bigger than ChatGPT. I just hope that we know. So when the whole the whole noise about sensitivity, image creation, all those things fade away. We used to be at AI session. That's what I asked myself. That's the question I asked myself. And then that led me to say, no, I was going to take my time to understand how being artificial intelligence works. So that I don't get there tomorrow and never say, oh, I wish I learned elements. I wish I knew that artificial intelligence was bigger than cognitive or Google Video. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than image, bigger than ChatGPT. People are doing a lot of interesting things with it in other fields. So I encourage you to try from time to time, see what people are doing in other fields. In the healthcare sector, in the agricultural sector, in the fintech space, in the fraud detection space. Try to read those use cases, try to read those scenarios. It will help to expand your mind on the possibilities. And who knows, you may develop interest in something else. And when you develop interest in that thing, you will then build up on it. I think finally, this is just some of the few. Connect the dots. Your purpose will help you find your niche. Seek original perspective. Tell your individual and your story. Tia is going to do justice to that topic. And then treat failure as a teacher and have the courage to step onto the opportunities. Also, if there is any experienced person here, I know a lot of our conversations here are for people who are quite new on the stats now. But if there's any experience, tell me my time off, please let me know. If there's any experienced person here, seek global opportunities according to your experience. If you know that you're good at something, step out. I found that a lot of people who are good at certain things don't try. It's better for you to try and fail, really. Really, really, it's better for you to try and fail than for you not to try. When I first heard about the development and stuff, like, oh, I like this. I really like the person. So, okay, the rest of my parents as well. I'll round up with the story. I was like, oh, I like this, but I don't think I'm qualified. So a lot of people stop that, oh, I don't think I'm qualified, and then you end up not even taking the steps. So I do not apply for years and years. I maybe 3 to 4 years since when I first figured out this, because I was like, oh, I don't think I'm qualified. And one day, and my husband would tell me to this, why don't you say, why don't you do this and like that? Because I've always worked in startup all my career and startup person. I enjoyed building businesses and scratch and just supporting businesses from the start. I'm like, why don't you just try this one? I'm not going to try this. And then eventually I do that and continue. If I do not try it, I still don't have it. So that's to say, try, don't be afraid. And what's the worst case? What's the worst scenario is that you do not better. And then you look on to better things. That's the worst scenario. And there is also a scenario that you might get it. And when you get it, you also need it. So let us try to take opportunities and take actions as we move into the new. Thank you so much for the this documentation. Thanks. I hope I learned it next week. Thank you for having me.
Before you go quickly, there's just one question somebody asked here, and I think it's very critical that I am an undergraduate. I'm in my 400 level, and I'm looking to get specific global opportunities, but I don't have any money. I don't even have a passport yet. How do I really access global opportunities? I don't really have a tech skill. I'm just a, ideal Nigerian student. Please, what can I do? This person has a desire to access global opportunities, but the person is just an undergraduate, like a typical undergraduate. When I was an undergraduate too, I really didn't have so much experience or exposure to certain things. And then because we have here, what can somebody like that do, to position themselves even while they're still in school? Thank you.
Thank you for asking that very, very important question. I had a quote some weeks back, and the person was saying it was a podcast on investment. And the person was saying, if you don't have money to, somebody asked this similar question. The person was, oh, I don't have money to invest now. And we're starting a what the person said, if you don't have money to invest, gather knowledge. And it's stuck with me because it just makes sense. Because if you gather knowledge, when you have an opportunity, you know what to do with the opportunity. So if you are a typical investment, no tech skill, you're just struggling to find purpose. I resonate deeply with you because I was like that. I mean, when I finished stuff like, God, what the hell is this? That confusion is something that you cannot explain to anybody. I even feel like our parents don't get it. When you don't know how to navigate your life after school, you don't know how to start. I would say, number one, reflect. Now that you're in school, you have a lot of time to explore different paths. I would not say start exploring all the paths because time is a very valuable resources. I would say start from reflection. What really want to do in the long term. Keeping in mind that what you eventually do in the long term may not be what you start with. So when you have identified what really excites you, I mean, enjoy your youth. I don't even know how to say this term very well, but if you're young and you're in school, enjoy it. A time will come that you will wish you had all this time back. You will wish you were at that stage in your life. And you want to look back at all the decisions that you are making and ensure that it's the right one. So reflect, what do you really enjoy? Beyond the pressure, beyond society's status, beyond comparison of yourself to other people, beyond the expectation of our parents and us, what do you really enjoy? When you have identified that, let it spoil your decision. So you say, okay, how do I get them? A practical step, if I was still the 100 level now in 2025, know the opportunities that will prepare from the opportunities that we have at the time. I would say make a list of the global opportunities. I know people who got internship in Goldman Sachs, KPMG, and not Nigerian KPMG, I've read KPMG, PwC from all because they could tell their story. And when all this opportunity happens, they are not on Instagram. They are not on social media. You need to have the intentional about reading those companies' newsletter, reading their emails, or signing up to their, because sometimes they send the emails, or even focusing on their job board. You need to have been intentionally following those companies. So I know a lot of people, I've met a lot of people in the UK that they came from school to the UK and they're working with themselves. I'm like, they say, oh no, I came from internship. No, there's this most global companies run this 1 year after school internship. Most, and they got it. And they did very well during the internship. The company, became them and they just continued their life. But they are very best opportunities. You don't see them stand out. So what do you want? Where are the opportunities that you want? Where are they located? How do you gather the information that you need for the future that you want? So that's the kind of thing I'll focus on if I was a final year student and I don't have a skill. Who are the people that I'm reading from? Who are the people I'm listening to on social media? I will really, really cut down on the ones. I will cut down on the trends. I will focus on gathering the knowledge that I want for the future. That number two, I will network. We cannot underestimate the power of networking. I will speak to people. If you live in Lagos, even though you don't live in Lagos, we have a lot of events and going beyond Lagos. Where are tech events happening? Let's assume you want to be tech person, but what's the tech person? That's absolutely private. Where are the events and the things that you want? Where are they happening? How can you volunteer? How can you participate? How can you reach out to some organization to say, oh, okay, I can volunteer to help you do this? How can you gain experience? Even now that while you're in school. Now, people no longer wait. It's in olden days time that people get to finish before they gather experience. Most of the amazing people that I have worked with, they are in school. They're either in 400 level or semi-final year, and they are already gathering certain relevant opportunities. I have worked with developers that were still in school while they were building software for top fintech, like most of the very large popular fintech developers are in school. Yes. And those developers have got on to earn money and beyond any money with in shares from the organizations, have partnership. So time has gone beyond waiting for you to finish school before you gather experience, before you gather relevant knowledge. So how can you do it? How can you participate in those things? How can you gather knowledge? How can you write on LinkedIn? I see a lot of young people also writing on LinkedIn. I follow them and read. I start to engage when I see that someone in school and they're posting. Let them post about their success stories, their experiences, their direction. Can you do all that? That's what you should focus on. So if you're in a final, you're in school, final year, you know what to do, you might be the first person in your family who's trying to do something different. A lot of people might be misunderstanding gather knowledge. That's what I say. Focus on gathering the relevant knowledge. The future that you want, design it, where do you want to be in 2 years? It's very possible. And whatever, I'm telling you, whatever you are who you say you are. That's the honest truth. If you see you are ignorant, if you see you are smart, that's really the case. Genesis when want and there's this popular slang. And it's true, you are who you are. If you say you are big. So in the next 2 years, if you're a final year and you say, okay, I want my salary to be how I like to really mark my career sometimes is by my salary. I think I like money. So I said, this is how much I want to do. So if you say, I saw using speed, what's inside the thousand? You ask yourself, what skill can you gather have impact in the past? If you ask yourself that an academic skill, you'll be able to work towards it and it will happen. It will happen. So I think that's what I would be telling you. Thank you.